Today I'm gonna talk about something that's really close to my heart, what I'm really excited about, which is what I call phygital. Everyone heard that term before? Mhm. Okay, there's a classic marketing definition of it, and I'll go through that in a second, but there's also the definition I like to see phygital. Anyway, let's get started. What is phygital? The way I see it is the world is the same, but with a digital layer. It's where we start enhancing the world around us with digital products, rather than, okay, I'm using my phone. Device takes second stage, and digital is just there to enhance the real world. We're not there yet, but I think it's coming. But let's start with the definitions. This is the marketing term where you start to blend physical and digital to create an experience. A lot of marketers are using it. You know, you can like something, you can do everything with your device, but it's still very much a device-driven kind of experience. The word frictionless and seamless is quite important, but I like this definition, and especially this. So we come from a world where we try to replicate everything we do into digital devices. We're basically trying to mimic the real world and do things digitally. There's a big trend now where we're seeing a big shift. We start seeing the virtual revealing itself within the physical space, and that's quite an exciting world. There's a few examples later on, but basically I want to, as we go through this, for you guys to start thinking, what does this mean for us as designers? How are we going to start designing when this could be an interface I'm touching, or the interface is not even there? How do we as practitioners get into that space and stay relevant, which is quite a big challenge. For you guys who didn't hear our presentation, why do I think that phygital is around the corner? Well, there's three major factors that I think contribute, or that is important for us to get that true experience. Number one, if it's less, Internet of Things. Nothing new, but without that, we can't walk through the physical world and have a digital layer on top of everything. We need to have those sensors that measure, knows where we are, knows the temperature, knows what we're thinking when it connects out to our phone. Which comes to the next point. Everything is connected. Wi-Fi is everywhere. All of those small Internet of Things in your home, out when you're walking, is now connected up. We can take that data, we can learn from it. We can predict things. And the last one, with that data, we need to start analyzing it. And who can do that better than us? The machines. They can do it faster. And when they start crunching it, they can start predicting our behavior. I'm always buying coffee down at the corner, so when I'm getting close, why not send a signal to the coffee owner saying, he's coming close. Let's make that coffee. Those three things together is what I see as the cornerstones of phygital, or hello experience. It's no longer about just the experience on my phone, my experience in the physical world. It's about the experience. And we need to start thinking about that. What is the experience we want to give, rather than what's the device that can provide that experience? So where are we now? There's quite a few trends happening already that's pointing us, taking steps in the right direction. But it's all through our device. It's still very much, I need my phone. Even if I have my lights at home connected, I still control it to my device. My temperature. Anything is through the devices. But there's a few cool things that's happening. And one, conversational interfaces. So we actually start seeing that the design of interfaces is getting minimal. Nowadays, we're seeing bots everywhere. It's a big topic at the moment. Where you can't control very much. You can put in some nice imagery, but it's very much about the conversation you're having with a machine. That's the interface. It's the conversation. So that's quite interesting. Or you can do it like this. I don't know how many of you have seen this example now from Space 10, where you have a boring old form, sign-up form, buy something, want to turn it into a conversation. Have a conversation with your customers or your potential customers. You might not have to ask it in the order that you lay out the form. You can say, oh, do you want to answer this now? Oh, that's cool. Let's have a conversation about that. And then you get into the next topic that you want to have an answer on. And then you answer that. Very much a bot, but in an interface. And that's a conversational interface as I see it. Very minimal. What's the experience? How do we design for that? Well, we design a conversation. Another thing, we all use Siri, Cortana, the assistants. They're all here, but they're quite dumb, really, because they're always waiting for you to ask them something. They don't anticipate what you want from them. And in the end, they always serve something up to you, rather than just saying, hey, I want this. Great, I'll take care of it for you. That would be a really good assistant. So that's still a trend towards the right, what I mean with phygital. We're seeing the disappearance of interfaces, which is no interfaces. Where's the interface in this? You have your Google Home, you talk to it. So interface is what you say. Snapchat, press, video, upload it. Still no digital interface. Apple, put in and play. And this is quite a nice device where you're about to run out of washing powder, you just press that and it orders for you. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, where's our role in this? It's a product. What's the interface? What's the experience? And that's quite a tough topic. I don't have all the answers, but I think we must start seeing it in a different context now. What is the experience? It's not, where is my brand? So as designers, we're always talking to, if it's our bank that we're designing for, our customers, where should we put the logo? What's the brand colors? None of those really have any brand colors or logo. So we're turning it more and more towards something like this. How do we as a brand stay relevant when you're talking to something? I just love this. So you're going from something that is still recognizable. Is it the tone of voice you're using through the assistant that tells you that I'm interacting with Google all of a sudden? Is it, I don't know. But how do brands stay topical in a conversation? How do brands still survive when there's no interface to promote, hey, I'm the brand? The same there goes back to the experience. What experience do you have with that brand? No matter if it's through a device that is not the brand, but you're ordering through Amazon, what's it called? Alexa, thank you. You're ordering a third-party product. How do you create a relationship with that? So that's another challenge we're going to face, especially with our own customers. How do they stay relevant when there's no interface? And it goes down to what's the building blocks of a brand? Tone of voice, the language you're using. Is it actually when you receive the product that the service is so seamless that, hey, that was great. I just said, order my shoes. The shoes showed up. I can order from them again. Is that what a brand is going to be? We also start seeing the physical world manifesting itself nowadays through devices. And this is one step much closer to what I think of as phygital. Virtual reality, really. But it's still very much through the device, right? So I can go out to catch Pikachu. I get the nice bridge behind it. But once I've taken my Pikachu on the toilet, I get a funny photo I can share with my friends. Does it really help my day-to-day life? might be a better gaming experience. But really, is that the best we can do when it comes to virtual reality? Doesn't enhance my physical experience of walking down the road. Another example, how many have been following the F8 for Facebook? The conference going on? They're talking a lot about virtual reality, where you can take a photo and enhance it with virtual reality, still through your device. Here the end game is to create another layer of communication. They want people to post. Is it still enhancing my day-to-day life? Not really, but it's a step closer.
Is it something Facebook is doing?
Yeah.
What was the name?
Well, the conference called F8, they're launching basically, you know, if you take a photo, you can now add a virtual virtual reality filter on top of it. So you can't really see in this picture, but this guy is taking a photo of a table. And then the virtual reality is basically just saying, Marcus was here. It looks like it's etched into the table, yeah. They have other examples as well. Same there, gimmicky. Quite fun, first 5 times I send it to my friends. But really, I'm not sure how much enhancement that's going to give in terms of our life. I'm going through it very quickly. All right, I'll slow down a little bit. The switch. So what do I mean with that? I think this is where we stop thinking about the device as the main mode of communication or the end goal to create experience through the device. It's when we start thinking about, well, how can the device or the sensor or whatever we put into the floor when we're walking, how can that enhance what we're doing in our day-to-day life? How can that better our lives? How can it better our physical experience? That's when I think we stop seeing the world through a device and start realizing that digital is there to help and enhance the real world. And I think that's really exciting. Tech will be more and more invisible as a consequence, and I think that's really cool. But it's also going to be prevalent. It's going to be everywhere. I'll go through a few examples where it's both disappearing and appearing. Suddenly everything is an interface. I look here and I get my Facebook post coming up on the wall because the sensors in the ceiling knows that I'm looking at the wall. I can potentially just say, oh, the volume over there is a bit loud. Hey, volume. And it turns down. Suddenly my gesture is an interface. Pretty cool. Pretty daunting as well. How do we design for that? I have a few examples. It's very hard to find real examples. Some of them are getting there. Some of them are there, still kind of gimmicky, still through a device. But let's talk through them anyway. Here's one I like, mainly because the context is the city around you. Yes, you might need a pair of Google glasses or your phone to see the whale popping up through the floor. But here the device is not the end game. It's actually to get an experience in a city context. A lot of the phygital things we see at the moment is very marketing or installations. And that's some of the experience or examples I have as well. Does it make a world a better place? Well, if you're an art fan or like installations, yes. But not really just yet. But I think it's a step closer. It's where we start looking at the world with a digital lens rather than looking at digital and try to squeeze in the world into that. Another example, Covent Garden over Christmas. Looks like a beautiful day, doesn't it? But they had this thing where if you lifted your phone, suddenly you can see Rudolph coming through the air. Same there, gimmick, marketing, but it's also pretty cool. How do we start thinking about, okay, I have a brand, and let's just put something up in the air, floating, and get people to experience it by itself, discover it. Once we all have Google glasses, it's just going to appear in front of us. Scary, but pretty cool. Um, how do we, as designers, suddenly start designing for anything can be? You look around, and that could be the experience. It's right next to me. You don't see it at the moment because you don't have Google glasses, but it's here. How do we design for that? I love this one, my favorite, where there's an art exhibition going on at the moment where you can walk through the whole exhibition, really enjoying it. There's beautiful paintings. This is just a collection of stones, but organized in a nice way. But as soon as you add a lens, you get another experience on top of the art. There's a video there where you can see the various examples they have. There's a painting where hair starts growing out of it when you're using the device to look at it. Same there, you still need the device. It's still through your device, but the device is not the end goal. The art exhibition or the experience you're getting by seeing an additional layer, that's the end goal. Next step, we take it beyond the device and go to digital as a partner. This is really cool. This is when it gets really cool, I think. This one exists. Canada, they have a big sporting goods shop where you can swing your golf clubs. So there's sensors in the clubs. And you can start, it gets you tactile feedback about where you're going. So basically, you're putting an experience in a shop. And here the digital is still a screen where you see, you get your feedback, you get your training, but it's basically not the end goal. The end goal is for you to swing that club. I like it, I'll buy it, I'll take it home. They have similar things with running shoes, bikes, everything like that. You can get the physical exertion, but you get a digital feedback as well. Good experience. Next one. How many has been to Disneyland? This is a brilliant example of phygital. Yes, it's a wristband, but it's not. That is not the experience. It's experience when you walk around Disneyland that it unlocks. You don't have to queue up for rides. Just put it there. Parking, put it there. I need to buy my meal. I might have pre-order it. It's on my band. Just put it there. I get my meal. That's where I think the digital is hidden away. And it's just there to help us enhance the experience of being on a theme park. So that example they've called My Magic. It's also your hotel room key. So you check in. Hey, I'm here. Okay, you just go straight up to your room, unlock the door, and start your experience. You can prepay it, so there's heaps of money, or you can lock it to your kid, for your kid, saying you have that much money to spend, and they can use it, and then, okay, use my money.
Sorry, just does it work in a way that you just check in the queue?
Yeah.
And then it sort of beeps you when it's your turn?
Yeah.
So you can walk around, you don't have to stand in line?
I think the way it works at the moment is there's a priority queue. So you just go through, I've already paid for this, and you go straight through. So it's not, I don't think it's as good as that yet, where you can say, hey, I've checked in, ping me when it's my turn. But it knows when you're on the ride, for example, which carriage you sit in. So when you get out of it, your photo is there. And you can just say, boop, I want that photo, and then you can download it later, for example, if you want a digital photo. The other cool thing here, what we don't think about, is what it gives Disney back. They give all the data of how people behave at the theme parks that they can use to then start bettering the theme parks. What food do people order? What do they like? How much queues are there at this ride? How can we enhance that? Where should we put people that can help answer questions? Because that's where people usually congregate. So it's that layer as well. It's not just the experience for me as a customer. It's what it gives back to Disney as well, which is a lot of data.
I think might have been another service, but where somebody lost their child, and through the geolocation of the band, they would
They pinpointed the child, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's a topic I haven't actually, and I won't raise today. It's all the security and thinking about, all the ethics about doing all of those kind of things. But we as a community have to agree on what's right or wrong, I guess. This is something that was launched in 2011. This is Tesco in Korea. This is people boarding a train. What they could do then is, this is basically just a poster, but they could scan it and order their food, and it was delivered either to the station that they got off or to their home. I reckon it's not going to be that far from that actually being real fridges. You go in, it's like, I'm thirsty. You take your soda, because you have your phone in your wallet that's connected up, it just takes the money from your account. You don't have to take it up. You don't have to ask to pay. You just take the drink that when you want to open it, it's paid for.
There was a story in Sweden as well, supermarket, they have chose this kind of platform, just you can grab anything and a payment is done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is a video on YouTube. I post it on our Facebook.
But I think those kind of things are cool as well, where it's just there. I don't have to think about the digital things behind it. I don't have to get my device out. It just works.
Amazon has a payment service. You can look it up.
This is where I think it starts getting really cool. Suddenly everything is an interface. This is just done by a sensor. It's not launched yet, but it's coming, where you can basically say, I got a tomato on my shopping board. What can I do with it? It gives you suggestions. Well, okay, we're going to be 4 today. All right, pasta bolognese, let's cook that. Show me the recipe. Let's imagine that it says, you don't have any oregano. Should I order it in for you at the same time? How do you design for this? Or like this. Everything has a status. And at the same time as you're cooking, you can see your grocery list. Or you can see someone is trying to email you at the same time.
Is this something we can see via the glasses, or is it?
This is through light, basically. So it's there on the actual devices. So it's through sensors that displays it. This is all done. This example, I think the previous example as well, and definitely the next, is by one of my favorite guys, Jared Ficklin, this guy, who is with Frog, and he's looking at a lot of this kind of stuff. This example here is basically where gestures, he's pointing at the light and say, turn off that light. And suddenly the sensors in the room knows, okay, he's telling me to turn something off, and he's pointing there, therefore he must mean that light. He's done a lot of other things. There's a whole video called Roomie that I encourage you guys to see, where he basically says, he just looks at the wall. What's the temperature? And up comes the temperature inside. That's a bit too warm. Lower it. And the aircon kicks in. He puts his computer on a table, and suddenly the interface appears next to it. He happens to move his computer, and the interface just shifts. And then suddenly he looks up, and the interface follows him. That's what I mean with suddenly everything is an interface. And that's, for me, is real phygital. There's a layer of digital in the real world, helping us, making sense of it. Samsung has their clear display TVs, which is basically just glass. You can see it in the windscreen here. Same here. The driving is the experience. But instead of having my Google Maps on a phone or something talking to, I just see it on glass where I'm looking anyway. And you can see a lot of different applications of this. I can very much see you walking past the window display, and suddenly you see, okay, they have a dress, but the clear glass saying, your size is available. Come in and buy it now. That's where the digital is just enhancing your physical experience of window shopping. This one is in trial stage from MIT. It's a big vest you wear at the moment, but it's basically a book. You sit and read a book, but what it does is it tracks your emotions when you're reading the book and enhancing it. So if you're reading something that's really exciting, it might give you some vibrations to just enhance that. Same there. The reading is the aim, and the digital is just there to enhance what you're actually doing right now. Anyone seen this? Ticket Passion. It was same there, just a marketing gimmick, but I think we start thinking about what you can apply it to, where they actually got people to implant chips in their arm. They showed up to the sporting event, football club I think it is, and based on their excitement levels, they were either let in or not let in. So it's basically showing who was the biggest fan, and there was an RFID who scanned how excited they were. That's just, as I said, a marketing thing, but suddenly you have something inside you that reads what you're doing, and the world around it responds to it via sensors. Pretty cool. Facebook has just announced 2 major projects they're going to do in the next years, where they're trying to understand and basically read your mind and make you feel what you're seeing. Bit what I was talking about before, but what they're trying to do is basically remove the whole interface and transplant the experience within you. So there, no keyboard, mouse, no display, no speakers. This is phygital. Suddenly there's a digital layer to what you're experiencing in the real world.
And I think Zuckerberg was mentioning that there can be no, a smartphone anymore.
Yeah.
In your future, because we don't need it. Or TV.
I think it's going to take a while. We're so attached to our devices that what I'm talking about, the switch, it's going to take a while yet. I think one thing is, it's almost like the computers are training us to get used to not having an interface. But we're also training them at the moment because we're training them with AI and machine learning. But that switch, I think we still want to be able to control it. We still want to be able to say, turn light on and off, rather than, okay, I've left the home. It knows to turn off the light. We're not really there yet, but I think that's what's coming. That's where digital is really going to explode into our homes, where it just does things for us. We don't even have to ask it. We might have to set it up, but it's just there to help us. So that's a few examples. But I think that's, as I said, just very early days. I can see things like when I wake up in the morning, it straight away knows I'm awake, turns the coffee machine on. I don't have to ask it to do that. I show up at the hotel, and it tells me there might be a sign on the computer saying, you checked in at the room, whatever, and you're straight up there. I sit at the restaurant, I know my friend is going to come. I know they like burgers. The restaurant gets pinged when the guy is 100 meters away and starts cooking the burger, so it's there when I show up. So yeah, I have a few more slides. So I guess what we're talking about here is, one, the interfaces are getting smaller and smaller, or they're disappearing. We don't have any interfaces. But we're also talking about everything can be an interface. Voice, gestures, whatever you want. I like this slide. MIT did a research, and maybe it was Stanford, of asking people, what do you think it means to be a designer? I do the design. I think we as designers have to start thinking about this whole curve. We need to get the data in. We need to understand what's possible technically, physically. We obviously still need to design it. We need to show our customers how to manage it and what they can do with it, and turn it into a real business. So the role as a designer is getting, suddenly you hear things like design thinking, where companies are adapting a design-first approach, where everything they do is through a lens of design. And there's a lot of schools about it. There's even master classes now about design thinking. So that's what's coming. We all know this. I don't probably have to preach this for you guys. But it's not just me saying customer experience or hello experience, as I said before. More and more companies are obviously realizing that this is really important. But, as I said, with all of these trends, is this the death of design industry or UX industry? I don't think so. I just think we need to find new ways of thinking, new ways of prototyping, and it's probably start with thinking about what's the experience, creating a storyboard, even acting out the storyboard. You're walking around, it's like, oh, I can see my post here. Is that cool? Oh, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't have that as part of my solution. A lot of those kind of things. We need to iterate fast. Low-file prototypes. I'm starting using much more sticky tape, putting ice cream poles together to see how, trying to mimic a device, and then walking around with that as something. Those kind of tool sets is going to be more and more crucial, and I think we all have it, and it starts with why you guys here as well. It's curiosity. What's possible? It's thinking outside of what have I done before. It's like, well, why don't I put the screen over there? Why don't I do this? So I think we're here to stay, and I think we're going to be more and more relevant in the future as well. Even if what we used to with the wireframing and all of those kind of things, it's potentially going to disappear. We're going to find new tool sets. But that's just, a tool set is what you need to hammer something up. The thinking, the process that we go through is still going to pretty much be the same. So stop thinking interface and start thinking experience is probably my biggest advice. And test, which is probably preaching to the converted already, but test it. Start with a storyboard. Then, as I said, some sticky tape. Then maybe build something. And then enhance that, and enhance that, and enhance that. And then you get a service out of it.